Saruman of Many Colors. Saruman of Many Colors embodies the fall of a great wizard, once a servant of good, who sought mastery over every form of magic. He reflects a blend of wisdom, corruption, and cunning, making him a figure who thrives on turning others' power against them. As a commander, Saruman offers resilience and resource advantage through his ward ability and second spell trigger. By casting cheap spells in succession, he can reliably steal and recast powerful enchantments, instants, and sorceries from opponents' graveyards. A mill-focused Saruman deck fuels his ability while disrupting opponents' plans. Milling not only denies keycards but also creates a steady stream of targets for his copy and cast effect, turning enemy libraries into your personal arsenal. Combo ideas for Saruman decks. Combo number 1, Maddening Cacophony, plus Bruvac the Grandiloquent. Required conditions: 1. Bruvac the Grandiloquent must be on the battlefield. 2. Maddening Cacophony is in your hand. 3. Mana needed: 4 generic mana and 2 blue mana. Activating the combo, cast Maddening Cacophony including its kicker cost, causing each opponent to mill their entire library instead of just half due to Bruvac's ability. Combo result: opponents mill their entire library. Combo number 2, Duskmantle Guildmage, plus Mindcrank. Required conditions: 1. Duskmantle Guildmage must be on the battlefield. 2. Mindcrank must be on the battlefield. 3. You have a way to deal damage to any number of opponents. 4. Mana needed: a generic mana, a blue mana, and a black mana. Activating the combo. 1. Activate Duskmantle Guildmage's first ability, causing your opponent to lose life whenever a card is put into their graveyard this turn. 2. Deal damage to any opponent. 3. Mindcrank triggers, causing that opponent to mill a card for each life loss. 4. Duskmantle Guildmage triggers, causing the opponent to lose a life for each milled card. 5. Repeat step 3. Combo results: 1. Infinite mill. 2. Near infinite life loss. 3. Each opponent who was dealt damage loses the game. Combo number 3, the Mindskinner, plus Seer Konrad, the Grim. Required conditions: 1. The Mindskinner must be on the battlefield. 2. Seer Konrad the Grim must be on the battlefield. 3. You have a way to deal damage to an opponent. Activating the combo. 1. Deal damage to an opponent. 2. The damage is replaced by the Mindskinner, causing each opponent to mill that many cards instead of taking the damage. 3. Seer Konrad triggers for each creature card that was put into a graveyard. 4. Resolve a trigger from step 3, then attempt to deal a damage to each opponent. 5. Repeat from step 2. Combo result: near infinite mill. Combo number 4, Phenax, God of Deception, plus Consuming Aberration, plus Traumatize. Required conditions: 1. Phenax God of Deception must be on the battlefield. 2. Consuming Aberration must be on the battlefield. 3. Traumatize is in your hand. 4. Consuming Aberration does not have summoning sickness. 5. Mana needed: 3 generic mana and 2 blue mana. Activating the combo. 1. Cast Traumatize, causing target opponent to mill half their library, rounded down. 2. Using the ability given by Phenax, activate Consuming Aberration by tapping it, causing target opponent to mill X cards where X is equal to Consuming Aberration's toughness, which is equal to the cards in all opponents' graveyards. Combo result: infinite mill for target opponent. Combo number 5, Psychic Corrosion, plus Peer into the Abyss. Required conditions: 1. Psychic Corrosion must be on the battlefield. 2. Peer into the Abyss is in your hand. 3. Mana needed: 4 generic mana and 3 black mana. Activating the combo. 1. Cast Peer into the Abyss, targeting yourself. 2. Psychic Corrosion triggers, making your opponents mill 2 cards for each card you've drawn. Combo result: infinite mill. Non-game changer spells that are commonly found in Saruman decks. Maddening Cacophony. Enabling Saruman's trigger. Maddening Cacophony contributes directly to Saruman's effectiveness by rapidly populating opponents' graveyards with instants, sorceries, and enchantments. These card types align precisely with the target Saruman is able to exile and subsequently copy, thereby ensuring his triggered ability generates consistent value. Expanding strategic options. By milling a substantial number of cards, Maddening Cacophony broadens both the quantity and quality of spells available for Saruman to utilize. This significantly enhances the flexibility of his ability, allowing the controller to adapt their strategy by accessing a wider range of opponents' resources. Maximizing tactical impact. When employed as the second spell in a turn, Maddening Cacophony not only advances a dedicated mill strategy but also immediately activates Saruman's triggered effect. This sequencing creates a cohesive and impactful play pattern, combining resource denial with direct card advantage in a single turn cycle. Consuming Aberration. Scaling through graveyard density. Consuming Aberration's power and toughness increase proportionally with the number of cards in opponents' graveyards. Within a Saruman deck focused on milling, this effect ensures that each instance of graveyard expansion simultaneously strengthens Aberration as a battlefield threat. Continuous resource generation. The creature's triggered ability, which mills opponents until a land card is revealed whenever you cast a spell, provides a consistent influx of instants, sorceries, and enchantments into opposing graveyards. This directly complements Saruman's capacity to exile and copy such cards upon the casting of a second spell each turn, thereby establishing a cycle of mutual value. Dual pressure on opponents. As consuming Aberration grows to imposing sizes, it compels opponents to divert resources toward managing it. This diversion benefits Saruman by reducing the likelihood of immediate removal, while the steady influx of milled cards continues to expand the range of spells Saruman may exploit. Storm of Saruman. Amplification of the second spell mechanic. Storm of Saruman directly reinforces Saruman of Many Colors by enhancing the impact of casting a second spell each turn. While Saruman provides access to opponents' graveyard resources through exile and copying, Storm of Saruman ensures that the initiating spell itself is duplicated, thereby compounding both value and tempo. Improved strategic flexibility. The capacity to copy a spell and assign new targets significantly broadens tactical options. Whether duplicating removal, card advantage, or mill effects, the enchantment allows the controller to extract maximum efficiency from each second spell while simultaneously enabling Saruman's triggered ability to access additional resources. Sustained board presence through ward protection. With Ward 3, Storm of Saruman imposes a mana tax that complicates opponents' efforts to remove it efficiently. This protection ensures that the enchantment remains a persistent engine within the strategy, consistently supporting Saruman's ability to leverage graveyards while amplifying the deck's spellcasting efficiency. Fractured Sanity. Substantial graveyard augmentation. Fractured Sanity's capacity to mill 14 cards from each opponent results in a considerable influx of resources into opposing graveyards. This directly strengthens Saruman's triggered ability by ensuring a consistent supply of instants, sorceries, and enchantments that may be exiled and copied. Auxiliary utility through cycling. The card's cycling mechanic introduces both flexibility and incremental value. By enabling card draw while simultaneously milling for cards per opponent, it maintains graveyard density and guarantees continued relevance even when drawn later in the game. Acceleration of value generation. When employed as a second spell within a turn sequence, Fractured Sanity not only advances a dedicated mill strategy but also immediately enables Saruman's triggered effect. This interaction creates an efficient convergence of resource denial and card advantage, thereby amplifying strategic momentum. Ruin Crab. Reliable graveyard enrichment. Ruin Crab's landfall ability provides a consistent mechanism for milling opponents whenever lands enter the battlefield under your control. This steady accumulation of cards in opposing graveyards ensures that Saruman's triggered ability has a sustained reservoir of instants, sorceries, and enchantments to exploit. Efficient and passive value generation. As a 1-mana creature requiring no additional resources beyond natural land development, Ruin Crab offers a highly efficient means of advancing a mill strategy. Its low cost and recurring effect aligns seamlessly with SARUMAN's capacity to derive value from graveyard manipulation. Supplementary board utility. Although primarily a mill enabler, Ruin Crab also functions as a modest defensive presence due to its toughness. This dual role can divert opponents' resources toward addressing it, indirectly safeguarding SARUMAN's broader strategy and prolonging the value loop he provides. Breach the Multiverse. Extensive graveyard development. Breach the Multiverse introduces a significant volume of cards into each opponent's graveyard by milling 10 from every library. This greatly expands the pool of instants, sorceries, and enchantments available for SARUMAN to exile and copy, thereby reinforcing the consistency and potency of his triggered ability. Immediate battlefield consolidation. The reanimation of a creature or planeswalker from each graveyard directly onto the battlefield provides an immediate and substantial increase in board presence. These additional permanents not only strengthen defensive and offensive capabilities but also generate complementary value alongside SARUMAN's resource manipulation. Amplification of strategic tempo. When utilized as a second spell within a turn sequence, Breach the Multiverse unites mass milling with large-scale reanimation, thereby advancing both disruption and board development in a single action. This confluence of effects creates a pronounced tempo advantage that SARUMAN can exploit in subsequent turns through further graveyard interaction. Mindcrank. Improved graveyard development through life loss. Mindcrank ensures that each instance of life loss suffered by an opponent directly translates into additional milling. This mechanism steadily enriches opponents' graveyards with potential targets for SARUMAN's Exile-land copy ability, thereby reinforcing the commander's strategic foundation. Expansion of trigger frequency. Because Mindcrank activates upon every discrete occurrence of life loss, it can generate multiple mill triggers within a single turn. This repeated effect substantially increases the density and diversity of cards within opponents' graveyards, improving both the consistency and effectiveness of SARUMAN's triggered ability. Integration of disruption and resource generation. By pairing Mindcrank with spells or effects that cause life loss, whether through direct damage, drain effects, or self-inflicted payments, the deck simultaneously undermines opponents' survivability and expands SARUMAN's pool of usable resources. This dual function establishes Mindcrank as both a disruptive tool and a reliable enabler of SARUMAN's long-term value generation. Thought Scour. Targeted graveyard enrichment through milling. As a low-cost instant, Thought Scour facilitates the transfer of cards from an opponent's library into their graveyard with minimal resource investment. This process enhances the availability of instants, sorceries, and enchantments for SARUMAN's Exile-land cast ability, thereby increasing the commander's consistency. Strategic flexibility in multi-spell sequences. Due to its efficiency and instant speed nature, Thought Scour is exceptionally well-suited to serve as part of a multi-spell sequence. This characteristic enables the reliable activation of SARUMAN's second spell trigger, allowing for effective exploitation of graveyard resources without significant tempo loss. Preservation of card advantage through self-replacement. Beyond its role in graveyard development, Thought Scour ensures sustainability by immediately replacing itself with a new card. This dual functionality maintains card advantage while simultaneously advancing SARUMAN's broader strategic objectives. Drown in the Loch. Improved graveyard leverage. Drown in the Loch becomes increasingly potent as the game progresses and as opponents' graveyards grow through your milling strategy. This naturally aligns with SARUMAN's ability-building game plan, offering scalable control over spells and creatures depending on how rich opponents' graveyards are. Versatile interaction on a budget. As an inexpensive instant, Drown in the Loch serves as either a counterspell or removal, offering flexible interaction while simultaneously reinforcing the graveyard-centric structure necessary for SARUMAN's triggered effects. Its dual functionality supports both control and resource denial in one compact package. Protective Tempo Stabilizer. When cast as your second spell in a turn, Drown in the Loch not only disrupts an opponent's play, but also triggers Saruman's ability to exile and copy a spell from an opponent's graveyard. This creates a seamless tempo swing that both clears the way and deepens your access to opponents' graveyards for continued exploitation. Psychic Corrosion. Sustain graveyard enrichment through card draw. Psychic Corrosion ensures that each card draw translates directly into library depletion for all opponents. This mechanism steadily transfers instants, sorceries, and enchantments into graveyards, thereby providing Saruman with a broader array of targets for his exile land cast ability. Reinforcement of the second spell mechanic. By aligning naturally with draw-based strategies, Psychic Corrosion strengthens the consistency of casting multiple spells within a turn. This not only facilitates Saruman's second spell trigger, but also heightens the likelihood of accessing impactful cards from opponents' graveyards. Cohesion with deck strategy and long-term pressure. The enchantment integrates seamlessly into a deck that emphasizes sustained card advantage. In doing so, it transforms routine card draw into incremental graveyard pressure, creating a long-term strategic advantage that enhances Saruman's capacity for resource acquisition. Post your commander on the comments section below, and we will create a video like this for you. Thank you for watching.